Hello, everybody. Thank you for viewing this presentation. My name is David Feifel. I am Professor Emeritus of Psychiatry at UC San Diego and President of Kadima Neuropsychiatry Institute in La Jolla, California. The topic I want to talk to you today is about a project that my team and I have the privilege of being involved in. We call it Project Africa. And it's essentially a project by which we're facilitating the implementation of ketamine therapy in the African country of Rwanda. What is the relevance of this project? Well, I think that everyone who's attending this conference, whether in person or virtually, recognizes the remarkable nature of ketamine therapy as a breakthrough treatment um, for mental illness. However, the overwhelming majority of our experience with ketamine therapy, especially the real world experience, really comes from a very limited segment of the global population. I would say that probably, in my estimates, 85% of that is in one country, the United States, with growing amounts in other developed countries, such as Europe and Canada and places like that. We know very little about the applicability of ketamine therapy in much of the rest of the world. So I think this project really has the potential to be a test case to answer the question: to what extent does ketamine therapy translate in highly distinct cultural and socioeconomic contexts, and maybe that has even larger implications in terms of telling us to what extent does ketamine therapy, as a relatively inexpensive uh, um, treatment, to what extent does it have the ability to make an impact on the uh, prodigious challenge of global mental illness? Let's talk a little bit about Rwanda. It's a small country in Central East Africa, 14 million people. Um, it's composed of a number of different ethnic populations. The two largest are the Hutus and the Tutsis. It's a poor country. Annual income is $700, but on the other hand, it is one of the fastest growing economies, certainly in Africa, and probably one of the most robust in terms of growth globally. It's a country that's known for a number of things. It has been often called the land of a thousand hills, and you can see from the photo on the left side why that is. It's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. It's just breathtaking. Uh, Countryside is quite hilly, but very verdant. It's also known for its remarkable protected population of mountain gorillas, which I had the absolute pleasure of experiencing as well. It's a land of stark contrasts. Rurally, it's quite impoverished and um, uh, lack of penetration of any technology. But on the other hand, its cities, especially its capital city, Kigali, could rival many European cities. It also, unfortunately, has a very dark history, as many of you may be aware of. In 1994, ethnic tensions between the Houthis and the Tutsis exploded into um, uh, extreme violence and genocide, where over 800,000 people, primarily Tutsis, were brutally murdered in just about 100 days between April to July of 1994. Um, at that time, also, around 2 million Rwandans fled the country to nearby countries like the Republic of Congo and other places. At the end of that very, very tragic and dark episode, Rwanda found itself in absolute the situation of total devastation in all spheres, and the country, the government really had to kind of find a way to pull things together to move forward, and to which they kind of introduced a pretty um, uh, um, dramatic program of reconciliation. But in reality, the genocide continues to have lingering, profound effects on the Rwandan society. And everyone speaks of enduring trauma, which manifests not only among the survivors themselves, but also in subsequent generations via intergenerational trauma. It's thought that the prevalence of mental health issues in Rwanda surpasses even other countries in Africa. And although there really hasn't been enough reliable epidemiological surveys, the estimates for PTSD are roughly 25%. And depression ranges anywhere, the estimates range anywhere from 15 to 53%. Now, at the same time, the lack of resources is profound. There's actually, I'm told, less than 20 psychiatrists in all the country. So you've got, on the one hand, this profound unmet need, and at the other end of things, just a lack of resources to address these challenges. One of the results of the devastation of the 1994 genocide was that Rwanda found itself in such a dire situation that it out of necessity, developed a real proclivity towards entrepreneurship in terms of innovative solutions for its problems, and that is especially true for healthcare. And in many ways, they've succeeded, and Rwanda is looked at as a model of how a country can turn things around. And in 2015, the Rwandan health sector policy identified mental health as a priority area because of the challenges that I outlined in the previous slide. Now, I'm not going to spend time on this because I think this is a topic that everyone's familiar with, but I only want to point out that aside from a couple of ketamine clinics that provide ketamine out of pocket and don't really impact the indigenous population, there really is no ketamine therapy to speak of, that at least that I'm aware of anywhere in the continent. Although there's talk of programs being started in Kenya and other countries, but at present, really, Africa is, aside from the clinics that I mentioned, South Africa, a large continent, whose where ketamine therapy has really had no penetration. All this led to a very unexpected and interesting contact from some providers in Rwanda who contacted Kadima, especially Dr. Cindy Cassidy, who's an American psychologist residing in Rwanda, and had heard about ketamine therapy, and really couldn't help think that it could be a part of the solution for Rwanda's mental challenge. This all resulted in an invitation for me to travel to Rwanda and give a series of talks on ketamine therapy to providers and government officials. I had the absolute pleasure of presenting to anesthesiologists at the All Africa Anesthesiology Conference, and to a number of mental health clinics throughout the region. It all culminated in a presentation at the Ministry of Health, where all the stakeholders involved were invited, including providers, government officials, the FDA version of the Rwandan version of the FDA, and all the major representatives of their health insurance system. After a 2-hour presentation, which was largely questions and answers, this large group under the auspices of the Minister of Health decided that a task force should be formed to facilitate the development of a ketamine therapy capability in Rwanda. as a possible part of the solution for their mental health challenges. The working group's goals included identifying locations for 1 to 2 initial clinics, facilitating training so that there be homegrown know-how and resources to deliver ketamine therapy, and develop policy for ketamine coverage under the national healthcare insurance structure. In terms of establishing clinics, 2 locations were identified: King Faisal Hospital, which is a private hospital in Kigali, and Rwanda Biomedical Center, which I guess the best analogy would be the Rwandan version of the National Institute of Health. These 2 clinics are underway and quite near completion. In terms of training, at the request of the respective facilities, my institute, Kadima Neuropsychiatry, was happy to host delegations from both RBC and King Faisal Hospital, consisting of psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental health nurses who came throughout October and November to our facilities, shadowed our team, watched ketamine administration, met with our team of therapists, learned about ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, had a chance to learn from the nurses who care for the patients and so forth. So it's really a tremendous experience for both sides, and I think we both felt that both parties felt that a lot was learned, and it culminated in a wonderful certificate ceremony where we provided them with certificates. They provided us with some local art as a measure of their gratitude. And now we stand just a few months before the opening of these clinics. We hope, if all goes well. And what's I find very interesting is that we've identified a lot of potential challenges that we wouldn't have expected. You wouldn't expect from clinics in the United States or in Europe or in places that we will typically find ketamine therapy. And it's going to be very interesting to see how these challenges will be met and hopefully overcome, and what we'll learn about adopting ketamine therapy. These challenges include not only the lack of resources that I mentioned, but also some very, very prodigious cultural challenges that have to be addressed, including, some folk beliefs surrounding mental illness, and a reluctance to discuss mental illness, let alone seek out help for it. Beliefs about mind-altering substances in non-ordinary states of consciousness, as well as something very, I think, particular to Rwanda, and a lingering, perhaps, element of the 1994 tragedy, and that is a very strong proclivity to being guarded, not opening up to other Rwandans. And this is what we've learned from them. They were quite open in terms of sharing with outsiders, but very, very apprehensive to do so among themselves. And I think it's going to be very interesting because obviously, under ketamine therapy, there's a lot of vulnerability, and patients feel that a lot of the therapeutic effects occur from emotional breakthroughs that occur during the therapy. But a big part of that, of course, is being able to discuss that and share it. And if there's that apprehension, it'll be very interesting to see, what impact that has on the whole therapy. So it's definitely something to watch. And I think we're going to all learn a lot about ketamine therapy and about our fellow humans from this this very interesting project. So I want to thank everybody for listening, And I hope you've enjoyed it.